Welcome back to the 40 Plus Life podcast. This week, I'm delighted to welcome Dani Diosi, a menopause educator, support coach, qualified hypnotherapist, mind coding practitioner, and NLP master coach. Dani's on a mission to help women move from simply surviving perimenopause and menopause to truly thriving through it. Like many women, Dani's own menopause and perimenopause journey came as a complete shock. She describes it as being hit by a tidal wave. Struggling with brain fog, anxiety, sleep deprivation, loss of confidence, and questioning everything from her identity to her career. But instead of letting that experience define her, she transformed into a powerful new purpose. Welcome, Dani Diosi, to the 40 Plus Life podcast.
Thank you
Great
for
to have you
having me.
here.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Welcome. Gosh, you say you've got a lot of hats going on, even under the umbrella of just perimenopause. You've got a lot of skills to talk us through.
Yes, I like it when you put it like that. It makes me sound very impressive.
You are impressive. I'm so grateful that you've come onto the 40 Plus Life podcast to share your experience, because obviously you're working with so many women in that plus 40 and beyond life that are either right in the thick of it, or maybe they've come through it as well. Some of you listening right now, maybe you're actually out of the other side, but you're still trying to unpack what you've just gone through.
Absolutely. I mean, it is. It's like when I say it felt like a tidal wave, it does. And the problem is, it's insidious. It's like little things that you don't maybe notice or pay attention to at first. But eventually, there's absolutely no ignoring the fact that
Yeah.
the rug has been swept from underneath you and something pretty major is going on. And we're not prepared for it. I don't think we're not taught about it as young
Mm.
girls. It's almost like on a need to know basis.
I know, I
But
know. I feel like it's changing. I think our daughters, or my daughters who are now 14 and 11, I feel like they're getting to learn a little bit more about it at school.
mm,
I don't think they're getting, weeks or full lessons on it, but I think it does get delved into more than we ever had it. I don't think I even heard the word menopause until I couldn't tell you when I first heard about
no,
menopause.
I don't think our mothers did talk about it because it wasn't the done thing. It was just expected just to get on with it and don't complain.
Exactly. It's just a woman's passage that, everyone has to go through, and we all go through it, darling. It's that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, exactly,
vibe, isn't it? Tell
exactly.
me tell me about your experience through perimenopause. How did it go for you?
So I think looking back, the symptoms must have started around my early 40s. I just remember having this it felt like everywhere I was kind of tuned in to several different radio channels, which were all, not quite connecting. Do you remember when we used to tune radio?
Yeah.
Showing
Back in
my
the
age.
olden days, in the dark ages.
Back in those days, and until you actually got the signal spot on, it was kind of crackly, and it just felt
Mm,
like when I was surrounded by people, that there were so many different frequencies going on that it was really difficult to think. But it wasn't until we'd come through COVID and I'd signed up to do a half marathon, as you do. And I remember my husband sort of drove me around the route beforehand because I've got zero sense of direction at the best of times. So we thought it was probably prudent.
I can relate, yeah.
And I remember sitting in the car park next to him and absolutely sobbing and saying that I wish I was actually employed as opposed to self-employed, because I
Mm.
feel so dreadful that I'd be going to the doctors to get signed off.
Right.
But obviously when you're running your own business, it's impossible
There's no sick
to
pay,
do
there's
that.
nothing to support
A
you, and
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, and I think it was then that I realised I've got to do something
Mm.
about it, and I was very lucky that I went straight to a menopause specialist who got me started on HRT straight away, and even though obviously that in itself is a journey because it can take a bit of time to find the right dose, the right application, etc. And obviously your hormones are fluctuating and changing the whole time. So even once you think, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect, got it, it will change again. So and I'm aware how privileged and lucky I was to do that, because I know that it is not that way for the vast majority of women, which is absolutely scandalous.
Yeah.
It's a whole other topic.
It's a luck of the draw of the doctor that you get at your surgery or your surgery in your area, full stop. I mean,
Yeah.
I was incredibly lucky. The doctor that I had, just she listened. She said, "I think you're right. Let's do it. Let's get you onto HRT." But then another friend of mine, she was totally dismissed. And they said they blamed it on other things
Yeah.
because she was having to take other medication. And they just said, "Oh no, it's that," and they just wouldn't listen to her
Yeah.
at all.
But and again, that doesn't surprise me because my previous career was around birth. I started off in the antenatal space, and it's the same thing. It's
Mm.
doctors not listening to women talking about their own bodies. They know best. They're the ones with the medical degrees. And I'm not casting aspersions on all doctors because
No, I
obviously
know.
not all
Yeah.
doctors are like that. But it was that time and time and time again. The word of the woman, the person themselves that was going through it was dismissed.
Mm.
And so the fact that it's the same for a lot of people going through this now in perimenopause, I wish it surprised me. I'd
Mm.
love it to surprise me. I'd love it to be the anomaly, but I know that it's absolutely not.
What were your first symptoms?
I think there was rage. I remember one
Mm.
of the questions that I was asked. The doctor got me to fill in a bit of a checklist, and she said, "Do you suffer a lot of rage?" And I remember saying, "Well, put it this way: there are a hell of a lot of stupid people in this world." And she goes,
I'm
"I'll tick
surrounded
yes
by
then.
idiots.
I'll tick yes." So it was that. It was the word finding. Oh my
Right.
God, that was my previous role. I was teaching, I was training.
Mm.
I'd be talking to expectant parents, I'd be talking to student practitioners, and I'd be standing there and I'd want to say uterus. I'm describing where the baby lives.
A word you've said 50 million times.
Right. And I'd stand there and it had completely escaped. And it wasn't even, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
It
Just
was
gone.
as though I'd never even knew it. And it was frightening. It
Mm.
was utterly depressing. It's
Embarrassing as well, I can imagine,
embarrassing.
and making you think, oh my gosh, I can't do my job, which
Yeah,
then the knock-on effect to your confidence and making you spiral, probably.
totally, totally.
Mm.
It was that. It was having so little patience with my children, my husband, who, thank God, is probably the most patient person on this planet. But it was just, I felt like a shadow of my former
Mm.
self. My body was changing. My mind felt like wool. I was so tired. I couldn't sleep. The night sweats. It was intolerable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also seeing people talking about the almost like this grief that women go through
Yeah.
at this age, because you start to grieve the woman that you were
Yeah.
and all the things you could have done and would have done. You start to feel like everything's too late, and it's quite catastrophic for a lot of women. One, if they don't get the support, and two, if you haven't got a supportive partner, if you have a
Yeah.
partner, we do hear about, and I know I've seen it happen with people that I know where they've ended up getting divorced
Very
because
common.
because they've gone off everything. There's no libido. They don't want their husband anywhere near them.
Mhm.
Don't even breathe near me. The partner feels completely rejected, ignored. They don't want to live in a house with a woman full of rage. And suddenly, the cliche of that younger, fertile, hot young woman is looking quite appealing.
Yeah.
And it's a story as old as time, isn't it? I mean, I bet you must see that quite a lot with women that come to
It
you.
is, but I also think there's kind of a story that's even older than that, which is actually that menopause, yes, it's a change, but it's actually a change and the opportunity for us to kind of step into our power.
Mm.
The story of menopause being the end of our youth, of our fertility, of our relationships is very much, we are a product of the society and the culture that we have grown up in.
Mm.
And we're bombarded with, from when we've been tiny, images of beauty of thin, young women. And we
Mm.
hear it a lot from, actresses in Hollywood, the UK industry, that there are plenty of roles for silver
Yeah.
foxes, and older men are kind of, they're deemed to be more attractive as they get older.
Yeah, they can still come back and be the hot male lead that has the
Absolutely.
romance, but the women have to there's this kind of 15, 20-year age window where they have to disappear and then they can come back as the grandmother
Right.
or the gnarly old witch. It
Exactly.
is
And so it's
so
it's
grim.
just those little subtle messages that lead us to be in denial. So ignoring a lot of those early symptoms,
Mm,
which actually, if we got onto it sooner, then that would fare us better, going through it.
yeah.
But no, I can't. I'm far too young to be there. There is that confidence issue because actually, if I'm getting old,
Mm,
what purpose do I have? And actually, and again, this is to do with what's going on in the brain, the way that the brain is changing. Our neurology is changing to set us up for actually being much more autonomous, being much more in that leadership role,
mm.
much more the teacher. And so way, way back in the day, the wise women who were kind of unofficial leaders of the villages and the towns were the women that had gone
Mm.
into menopause.
So what is actually happening? So is it that suddenly we'll get this nice sort of plateau after menopause or perimenopause where we can maybe think more clearly?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Basically, in a nutshell, I mean, obviously it can vary from person to person,
Mm,
but what is going on is every cell in our body is fueled by estrogen and progesterone as well. To a certain extent, there's progesterone affects other areas slightly differently, including our brain. Our brain is basically fueled by estrogen.
mhm.
And it uses up so much energy every month, kind of getting our body ready to have a pregnancy. And then obviously when that doesn't happen, the cycle kind of starts again.
Yeah.
And as we go through perimenopause, which is that transition between being premenopausal and postmenopausal,
Mhm.
and the quantity of our eggs are lessening because
Diminishing.
we're
Yeah.
born with a fixed amount of eggs. We don't make more. The brain is having to learn to use a different energy to function. And that's what creates the brain fog. And at the same time,
Okay.
it's having to bypass things that sort of came naturally. So very many of our executive function aspects like multitasking, planning, decision making, those almost have to kind of go by the
Take a back
wayside.
seat.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So that we can focus much more on pleasing ourselves rather than, which is what we're supposed to do at this stage, rather
Yeah.
than putting ourselves last in order to look after and nurture everyone else.
Gosh, that is a really actually quite enlightening, exciting perspective, actually.
Absolutely.
Because we panic when this starts to happen
Of
to
course.
us, and suddenly we're missing appointments and forgetting things, and suddenly you think, "Oh my gosh, I'm a nightmare. Everyone hates me. Oh God, I'm messing everything up." But actually, we should be thinking, "Oh no, we're in a chrysalis right now,
Yeah,
and we're coming out the other side of this as
absolutely.
as the I don't know, zero cares, not zero cares. That's the wrong
It's
term,
it's
but
it's you your BS detector is
yes,
like fully functional,
yeah."
and what you would have tolerated previously,
Mm.
it's almost like your brain and body are going, "Mm-mm, not now."
Oh, I love this perspective. Yeah,
And
it's just
that's
like, oh, I haven't got time for this. I haven't got
exactly,
time for your messing about. Oh no,
exactly.
or I don't have time for that person in my life. I don't have time for filling my week with too many things. No, you suddenly being able to say no more
Yeah.
and
So
go, oh no, no, I know what's right for me.
that's the idea, and that's also why divorces happen, because actually it's sort of like, why am I settling?
Right.
Very
So
normal. That's also why lots of women, there's two sides to this story, but lots of women will start their most successful businesses when they are in this phase of their life.
That is really cool. And I do see that in other lines of my work where I've met a lot of female founders, and so many of the stories that where they started in their 40s,
Exactly.
and it's often put down to the kids were that bit older, so I had a bit more time back. And maybe it's not, I mean, it will be a bit of that too,
Yeah.
but actually is potentially just they're coming into this new brain power.
Yeah. And actually, there's been proper research on this. I don't know if you've heard of somebody called Dr. Lisa Moscone.
I
She
have,
has,
yes.
yeah, she's written a book called The Menopause Brain, and she's done brain scans of women, sort of, pre, during, and post. And a lot of her findings show that cognitively, once we're through the other side, we are as cognitively able, if not
Mm.
more, than certainly male counterparts. So this is going to turn into a kind of raw brain
Yeah.
power session. But and they haven't been through the menopause. Men don't go
No.
through the menopause. So it feels frightening. It feels like we're losing it. But one thing I always say to my clients is it's not dementia.
Mm.
Dementia is when you forget what keys are for. Brain fog
Right.
is
Is when
forgetting
you've
where you
lost the
put your
keys.
keys.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
that's a good way to look at
that's the
it.
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I say this, I caveat it, there are lots of different sort of
Of course.
factors,
But in general.
but in general,
Mm.
and a lot of the work that I do with my clients is because this feels so scary. This feels so new. This feels so, but wait, I need to be looking after X, Y, Z and
Mm.
the other. And to throw in another twist, evolutionary wise, I'm sure there's a better way of putting that, but we'll go with that. And, previously, when we went through this phase, our children would have been grown up onto
Yeah.
their own thing. And actually, we would then be sort of helping to look after the children so that our
Mm.
daughters and sons could go out and, hunt together, etc.
Tend to the fields.
Tend to the fields, exactly. But now, because women very commonly are having their children later in life, it stands to reason that they're going to be going through this perimenopause transition whilst they've still, maybe in some cases, got babies,
Yep.
toddlers, children of all ages. And as we were saying earlier, that presents at every different stage, that presents its challenges.
Yeah.
So it's working with women to say that actually it's not, you don't have to be one or the other. You don't have to be a nurturer or, badass boss,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. It's actually about understanding your own boundaries
Mm.
and giving yourself permission to actually not even ask for that support. If you are in a relationship, or you have got older children, or you have got children that are capable
Mm.
of doing tasks, get them doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody is a mind reader. If you're standing there going,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
why
Why
don't
am
you
I having
just
to do everything? I'm cross at everybody. It's just like,
right,
okay, delegate.
delegate
Yeah.
and establish boundaries?
Mm.
It does get harder when we get older and we go through this phase to stay out longer and do all of the things. And we do have to decide, we do have to kind of, is all this.
Yeah, I think, looking at that busy calendar, and we're always trying to go, okay, well, I could do this then, I could do that then, and actually going, sometimes there should be those breaks for you to actually
Fix
do
it.
nothing.
Absolutely. And learn to say no.
Yes, and have that time for yourself to actually just rest.
Yeah.
Rest and let your body and brain do the things that it's
Yeah.
supposed to do. What are you seeing most with the clients that are coming to you? And where do you start with them in terms of helping women through as a perimenopause coach?
So it's everyone's different. And it's
Mm.
usually the first question is kind of, what is the biggest issue for you right now? And it may be something like, I don't know, lot of women go for the weight gain because it's
Right.
kind of, it's almost like your clothes have had a conversation behind your back, all decided unanimously to gang up against you, and suddenly nothing fits. And again, that totally feeds into our insecurities about, in order to be beautiful, we have to be thin. And yes, thank goodness there's a lot more body positivity around now, but
Yeah.
it's still, our subconscious hasn't caught up with that story.
I mean, I found because I was starting to pile on that the classic midriff weight, and It wasn't actually just about how I was worrying about being perceived from the outside. It was actually how it made me feel physically.
Right.
And I actually felt uncomfortable
Yes,
because it was
absolutely.
new to me. And, I've been very lucky with my, what's the word? How you process food. What is the word?
Metabolism. Yay!
Metabolism. There it is. Talking about words that completely disappear. Great example. Yes, I've always been lucky with that. But yeah, so for me, it was actually, I feel uncomfortable when I'm sitting. I'm
Yeah,
feeling uncomfortable moving. I'm feeling heavy.
yeah,
And actually, and yes, it was also about that
yeah,
perception of, oh no, I'm not going to be as attractive
yeah,
anymore. Not
yeah.
that I need to be attractive to anyone, but you just still
No,
feel like you're supposed to be.
exactly. You want to be attracted to yourself. You want to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yourself. And so, again, we're bombarded with we should be doing this, we should be lifting, we should be walking, we should be eating protein, we should be eating fat. And
Mm,
for someone who's in that state, it's overwhelmed. They all know what they should be doing. So it's basically if they say that that's kind of the thing that's getting them down the most, it's kind of right. What little steps can we take to getting you into healthier habits, making
yeah.
healthier decisions? I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a PT, but I think sometimes when people feel so ugh with themselves that even
Mm,
making an appointment to see a PT or go to the gym can be really, really difficult. So I wouldn't sit there and go, right, you have to walk 10,000 steps. You have to
yeah.
lift heavy 4 times a week. You have to make sure you're taking in, like, I don't know, 130 grams of
Yeah.
protein, because that's just going to send someone right to the cupboard and eat the digestives.
It's also exhausting to hear that many things that you need to change about your life. And I think
Absolutely.
that's the fastest way to fail.
Completely. So it's
Yeah.
literally, I've got a little notice on my desk here which says a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yeah.
And I basically help them take that first step, and then the next one, and then the next one. There's a lot of subconscious stuff that comes up when you're going through this process, partly because of the neural shifts.
Yeah.
Your imposter syndrome starts to speak really, really loudly. Lots of issues potentially that you thought maybe you dealt with in the past can rear their ugly heads again.
Like what? What do you see with that?
Insecurity, confidence issues, because again, I guess that feeds into imposter syndrome, but
Mm,
functioning at work, that can be a major issue. Also, interestingly, and I guess it's because of the previous work I did in the birth world, one of the questions I always ask people was, how was your birth experience? If they have kids, obviously.
mm,
How was your birth experience? Did you have postnatal depression?
mm.
Because if they had postnatal depression, it is an indication that their brain is very sensitive to hormonal changes.
Okay.
And what happens after having a baby to the hormones is pretty much exactly the same thing what happens to perimenopause. So after you've had a baby, the progesterone and estrogen drop in order to enable us to breastfeed,
Hmm.
regardless of whether you choose to or not. The function is still there. And also to bring in the oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. And
Right.
that's, again, changing our brain to make sure that we are hyper focused on our child, that we can interpret their cries, those micro expressions, to
Yeah.
make us a nurturer. Same thing is happening in perimenopause with the drop of progesterone and estrogen, although it's more gradual, but our brain is changing for a different purpose. So it's often quite useful to understand, to build a picture of what happened postnatally,
Yeah.
because that can often sort of indicate how they're feeling about things perimenopausally.
Right. So
Um,
they can track this in the same sort of way.
they can. It's not like a given, but
No.
it's a
But
high
you
likelihood.
might be more likely to spiral that bit more in perimenopause if you did suffer
Yeah,
from postnatal
yeah,
depression.
because your brain is
Oh
already sort
gosh.
of,
Yeah. Yeah.
that works that way.
What advice then would you give to somebody? Maybe there's someone listening right now that went, "Oh gosh, I went through postnatal depression. Does that mean I'm going to have to, you know, go through a lot more?" What should they be looking for?
you know your own body. You know when things are not right. And when someone has had depression of any sort, they are hypervigilant of, wait, is that my depression or is that just a normal reaction?
Yeah.
And sometimes, once if they're on medication or whatever, or they've kind of dealt with it, they might not be to start off with, but there will be signs. Don't wait, speak to someone, go to your doctor. We can get on top of it.
Yeah.
These things are happening to us, and the power is in actually sort of getting in there and being able to, whether you go down the HRT route or not, whether you sort of do use antidepressants or not, whether you're choosing to do it completely kind of supplements or healthy foods or whatever or not, it's understanding that is going to only take you so far. You have to do the work. You have to go through the process and put in the work to make you understand how your thoughts are working and recognize that the thoughts aren't reality, they're thoughts. And we can, once we're aware of that, we can make the changes.
What tips would you give to somebody who is going to go see their GP? They're worried they're not going to get listened to. What are there key markers that doctors are listening out for? Is it a case of sitting down? I mean, I've said this to friends, sit down and write a list of all the things that you are experiencing. So you make sure you tell them everything that you need to.
Absolutely. It can be really, really useful to keep track of the symptoms you're experiencing and for a period of time, so that it's not just going to the doctors and saying, I've just been feeling a bit off.
Yeah.
It's actually, I've been this. I'm aware, because I've been tracking it, that it's been going on for this amount of time. Definitely do the preparation beforehand, because at an NHS appointment, you get 8-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So being able to go in and say, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I understand. So the NICE guidelines say that perimenopause does not need to be diagnosed on a blood test. It should be diagnosed by the symptoms that the woman is experiencing.
Right. Because the blood test you'd need to have a blood test almost every single day.
Right.
And
at different points
all the
during
markers.
the day, because the hormones are fluctuating.
Yeah.
So it's easier if you are 45 and over, because that's kind of an acceptable age to be in perimenopause. It's harder if you are under that, because in my experience, most women asked how old you are. Oh, you're too young. Are you still having your period?
That's what I was told.
You're too young, which is just so many shades of wrong. I don't even know where to start.
It really is. And I've learned also that, and I'm sure that we're seeing a lot of women now being diagnosed with ADHD at this age, in their sort of 40s and beyond. And there is looking like there is a correlation between earlier perimenopause symptoms with women with ADHD. And, it's something that I've got to look into. My symptoms did start at 38. That's when my symptoms started going out of whack.
Yeah.
And again, I was very lucky that my doctor did listen to me, even at 42. She did tell me I was young. And other doctors that have asked if I'm on medication for other reasons, and they've gone, oh, that's very young. I'm 46 now, so they accept it. But before, a number of different doctors said, oh, you're very young. I'm like, I'm not. I just wanted to scream at them and go, I'm not. I've had symptoms that were going out of whack, hair falling out, exhausted, the rage, the weird gums, the burning tongue sensation, the itchy. I have had the lot.
So
and
basically tick, 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 tick,
tick, tick, tick, tick, tick, tick. Exactly. So, and I think there's probably a lot more women, ADHD aside, that are seeing those symptoms
and that's
earlier.
The thing. It's it used to be that perimenopause lasted 5 years. Now we're hearing it's kind of going 10, 12, 15. We can be symptomatic. Perimenopause doesn't mean menopause is one day. Actual menopause is one day, which is the day after it's been a year since your last bleed. People hear that word menopause and they automatically relate it to period stopping.
Yeah.
Well, periods might be the last thing on that list of symptoms. You can be experiencing the burning tongue, the phantom smells, the hot flushes,
Yeah.
the night sweats, and also understanding that you don't have to have everything in order to be in perimenopause. One of the sort of the culprits is, are you having hot flushes? No. Oh, well, then it's not perimenopause.
Yes. Yeah.
On a study that I think Louise Newson, her clinic conducted, hot flushes was actually way, way down
Yeah.
on the list of what people experience.
Funnily enough, mine. So I remember having one very clear hot flush. This was years ago, and it was like a comedy,
Yeah,
with the red do 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 bo 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 bo
yeah,
bo bo all the way up to the top, and I was like, "Holy moly, what was that?" And so and I was thinking, I don't really could say to anyone, "Yes, I'm having hot flushes." I know I've had one, but now I'm at the point where it's 4 or 5 years later, and I mean, my last cycle was about 7 months ago. And before that, it was about 7 months. And I thought, oh, I'm nearly there. This is it. I can just say
yeah,
goodbye to them. And then, one
yeah.
lurked and jumped in at the last minute. I was like, gosh, darn it. But now that I'm really in this kind of 7 month window where it hasn't happened, now the flushes, if I forget to change my patch,
Yeah.
which I often do regularly because brain fog,
Exactly.
and then suddenly they are coming a lot now. So maybe for some women, and obviously I think we're all very different, maybe they do start to come later when you're coming towards the
That's the
end of it.
thing. And it doesn't mean that just because these are the symptoms you've experienced at the start, these are the only ones you'll experience. One
Yeah.
thing I've noticed more recently, which I can't recall having, is intrusive thoughts. For example, now
Hmm.
luckily I know about intrusive thoughts, and I
Yeah.
know they're thoughts, and I know they're not real. It doesn't make them any less startling, but I don't let
Mm.
myself get hung up on them. I had anxiety, definitely. That was one of the major issues for me, but I don't remember so much having intrusive thoughts, the kind of
Mm.
things where you're just like driving along and think, actually, I could drive straight into a tree right now.
Yeah. Oh, where did
Yeah,
that come from?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. No, do you know what? I'd never connected that to perimenopause. I'd never really
Yeah,
thought that might be a thing. Funnily enough, a colleague of mine, I remember her saying exactly that she had got to the point where she wanted to wrap her car around a
yeah,
tree and she'd just be driving along. And that was when she knew she had to
yeah,
really get some
exactly. And
help.
it's so sad that women have to wait
Yeah.
until it gets to that point. So, going back to your earlier question, keep a record. Ask the questions that you want to ask. Know
Mm.
that actually, even if you are under 45, don't get me wrong, a blood test can be useful to rule out anything
Mm.
else. So a lot of thyroid issues can mimic perimenopause
Yes,
symptoms,
I
for
had to have
example.
thyroid testing before that.
But, if it's all coming back okay, then
Mm.
perimenopause doesn't need to be proven. If you see what I mean?
Mm.
In the absence of anything else showing
Yeah.
up on the blood test, it's de facto. And knowing that, and unfortunately, we shouldn't have to, but it's like that. We need to do our research. We need
Yeah.
to know.
And research the symptoms. How many do you see registered these days? Are we at
It
30? I mean, how
changes.
many different
Well,
yeah.
sometimes I read there's like 28. Then I found that
Yeah.
there was kind of 46. And then,
Mm.
basically there are a lot, and possibly some that aren't even, acknowledged, because everyone's going to react differently.
Talking with your friends, your family, your colleagues
Yes.
is and looking online and listening to podcasts like this is some of the great ways to be able to discover that there are symptoms that you didn't even know were a symptom. I mean, the gum
Totally.
thing was somebody else that told me.
Yeah.
And because I was having Invisalign at the time, I just thought it was because my teeth were
That.
moving around.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who's funnily enough the same age as me by a month, and she said, "Oh no, it's your gums, it's the swollen gums."
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh God, I didn't even put that
No,
together."
and that's the thing as well. Don't just assume because you are young, because
Mm,
your baby is still in nappies, or you've got a toddler, or you're wanting to continue growing your family, that you're not in perimenopause.
yeah.
The two things are not mutually exclusive. You can be in perimenopause and get pregnant. Heck, if you had that day of menopause, the recommendation is still to use contraception.
Yeah.
2 years if you're before 50, and for a year after you're 50. So, it's not mutually exclusive. And I think
Yeah.
the more that message gets across, that, you don't have to be 60,
Yeah.
with grown up children. We're actually helping ourselves
Mm.
by acknowledging that earlier, not getting to that stage where we feel like we're on our knees or wanting to
Yeah.
wrap our cars around a
Around a
tree. And
tree. Yeah.
unfortunately, for some women, it gets so bad that they do. And
Yeah.
that's not right. That's
It's not
not right.
right. And there is support. I mean, obviously there's people like you yourself that can help support, but there is more happening now within the
Yes.
NHS, within your local GPs, and a lot more support that there wasn't around before. People call it the Davina effect as well
Yes.
because she was so vocal. But there's also been a bit of bit of negativity around that. Some people say sort of the Davina effect in a negative way, in that, oh, blooming heck, everyone now thinks they're in perimenopause. It's like, well, actually, maybe you
Well,
are. You
and
don't
I
know.
to pick up on that point, I think it in some ways, I mean, obviously big companies, any company are supposed
Mm,
to be much more menopause aware. And it's almost, I know that for some people that I've spoken to, it almost feels as though the Davina effect has
mm,
kind of provided another hook for us to hang ourselves on to.
right.
Oh yeah, don't mind her. She's just moody because she's in perimenopause. So it's moved
Mm,
on from, don't mind her. She's moody because it's the time of the month.
yeah.
Um, and I think, and again, this is kind of where imposter syndrome comes into it. For a lot of women in high powered industries, businesses,
Mm,
companies, they almost feel embarrassed by the fact that now the world and his wife know what the symptoms of perimenopause are and are kind of, oh, is that why she missed that meeting? Is that why she's
right.
going really red in the face?
Yeah.
Rather than just kind of being able to deal with it. So there
Yeah.
are so many levels.
I
It's
know. It's interesting to see the commentary that you see on posts about perimenopause, of the number, and it will be an older generation of women who are going, oh gosh, why does everyone have to bang on about it? We just got on with it. We just, we didn't have to talk about it with every Tom, Dick, and Harry that came along. And, I actually quite feel quite sorry for that generation. That maybe I don't know, maybe they could have had a happier time.
but it's also very different. The generations before us haven't had the constant switched onness
Mm,
that we've had and that not necessarily we grow up with, but certainly in our, since the internet came, I mean, God, it makes me sound so old that I remember when the internet
oh, yeah, no,
came
same.
in,
Same, I remember
and
hearing about it and going,
email
"What's an
and things
email?"
like that.
Yeah.
My children laugh at us because we talk about how we used to be on the phone, you used to have the really long cords and you used to kind of drag the phone and hide
Yeah.
into it, speaking on it in your bedroom. But if somebody else was on the phone or if your parents said that's enough now,
Mm,
that was it. Computers, I remember going into the office and turning my computer on, and whilst it did the whole warm up thing,
yeah.
I'd go and make myself a cup of tea. I'd kind of go through some items of post. It would be a gradual
Mm.
kind of ease into being into work.
Whereas
Now,
everything now is instant, instant, instant. Yeah.
and we don't help ourselves. The fact that we
Mm.
are literally switched on, connected 24/7.
But the flip side, of course, is that because we are connected, this conversation can now be in the palm of your
Yes.
hand, and it can be
Yes.
in our earphones. And you know, I remember my mum saying, "Oh, she didn't really feel like she went through that much with the menopause." But I wonder, did she even
No, yeah.
know that a lot of the things that maybe
Yeah.
she was going through were actually symptomatic? And the sore knees and the ligament aches and all the things we've mentioned already, perhaps like she just, I don't know, just ignored them,
Yeah.
just didn't know what they
No,
were, we
absolutely.
weren't connected. Whereas now we know.
No, you're right. You're right. But it's also knowing that, yes, we know that stuff, but
Mm.
actually, we also need to know when we can disconnect,
Yes.
when we do not need to be scrolling on. I
Mm.
mean, listen, I'm as guilty as the next one,
So guilty over here. Yeah.
but I know the difference when I've been scrolling literally as I'm turning out the light and when I
Mm.
kind of make a concerted effort, right after 9 o'clock, I
Yeah.
don't look at my phone. My children are here. My
Being
husband is
present.
here.
Yeah.
of being present. Absolutely. So
It's
true.
something that it's a work in progress at the moment.
Yeah.
And I did get called out on it by my 14-year-old recently and just, oh, you're always on your phone. And, and I'm like, well, a lot of my work's on it. And that is true. But I need to start going, okay, I am going to consciously now do an hour of work on my phone and then I put it down. I
Yeah.
need to start on a day out. And I always think, oh, I need my phone because I want to take pictures. And I take a camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am going to, my husband will have his phone because I always get the fear. I think, what if something happens and I need to call someone? It's an
Yes.
emergency. I've got 10 excuses for why I need to have my phone in the palm of my hand all the time.
Exactly.
And I don't need it. And I need to start working on that and being more present and enjoying
Absolutely. And
lots of loveliness around me.
That's a lot of the work that I do with clients. It's okay. Yes, fine. You have a really, really busy job. Yes, absolutely. You need that element of contactability, but you also have a right to spend that time with your children, to spend that time. And if we time window things, then it creates kind of systems that it's easier for us to access.
Well, this is it. I mean, 20 years ago, you left your job at 5 o'clock in the evening or 6 o'clock, and you didn't go back into work mode until 9 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah.
We are accessible by our colleagues, our bosses on email all the time. And you get in, you're like, oh, I'm just going to have to go and deal with this. It's like we have to get better at going. We don't have to fix everything at every moment of every day when we're outside of work.
Absolutely. And how it impacts on our nervous system. So obviously taking HRT or something, I am a huge fan of HRT. I'm not going to deny
Me
it.
too.
But
yeah.
It will help with a lot of those sort of physical symptoms, such as the hot flashes, the night sweats. It doesn't change your cortisol levels.
Yeah.
So because of the lifestyle that we lead, because of the way that our estrogen, which was a great cortisol regulator, has dropped, our nervous systems are on ranging from sort of a low to high level of alert all the time. And it's understanding that HRT can do a lot, but we have to be the ones that tackle that nervous system and actually retrain our nervous system to just we're not going to be eaten by that saber-toothed tiger.
I was just about to say, we're living in fight or flight all the time. And it's no great danger that's around us all the time, but there's enough that is peaking that cortisol that is making our body feel it can't be healthy for us.
No,
it can't be good to have that amount
not.
of cortisol happening all the time.
It's not, because we're not designed to live in fight or flight the whole time.
So it's funny. I remember when we were younger, like you'd see that slightly older woman maybe going into, suddenly they're into meditation and suddenly they're into crystals and they're into all of these things. And now I'm in that zone. I'm like, oh, I get, that's why I get it. I totally get it. Yes, I want to go to a breathwork class and yes, I want to go to a gong bath and a sound bath and all those things, because I really do need to help try and calm that nervous system.
And it's appreciating that those and that time is as important as scheduling this meeting with that client, or that interview in your case, or it is important, because we're the only, no one else is going to give us permission. We're the only one that gives us permission.
I could talk about this for a 3-hour podcast, but we will have to move on. So I do want you to just, if there's one thing that you wish that every woman could know, what would that be in regards to perimenopause and menopause?
You're not broken, and you can get on top of this. This is actually an opportunity.
Well, it makes me want to cry.
But I think we've spent so long seeing it as a sign of fading, of less than, and actually this is your opportunity to step into your power, your awesomeness. It's an invitation, and I just wish that all women could see it as, yes, it can sometimes be a journey to get there. It can seem that it's kind of several steps forward and several steps back, but actually, it's exciting.
You're not broken, you're evolving.
Yes. Perfect. Now I've got goosebumps.
So, Dani, the 40 Plus Life podcast has the tagline, taking on midlife with style. What does style mean to you at this stage in your life?
So I was thinking about that because listening to some of the early episodes, that is a really good question. Certainly, personally speaking, I think I'm in a bit of a flux as far as my own personal style is concerned, in the sense that I'm still figuring out what works on this body, this hair. It's different body from what it was, and it's sort of, it's figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And I think it's also to do with the fact that I think for too long I almost tried to fit in, and I kind of want to experiment more with color, wearing a red t-shirt today.
Looks great on you.
So it's still very much in its infancy. It's feels a bit like newborn deer, just kind of trying this out and falling flat on my face, whatever. But I'm also okay with that. It's because of the fact that it's okay to experiment. It's okay to try, and actually it's a good lesson to me as well to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone as far as.
And even you're in your 50s, aren't you?
Yeah.
And even in our 50s, we can still experiment, and we can still try and find that real you, or the new you at this stage of life. So we're talking about, we're evolving.
And I think it was because when I had my baby, so I've got twins who are now 23, and my baby just turned, I call her my baby. She's 21. She's technically not a baby. When they came along, I did have postnatal depression, and my thing was very much kind of put on the face, put on the clothes, nobody needs to know. So it was all about wearing a mask. And I think now it's about it's not wearing a mask. It's just kind of experimenting with what feels nice to me, what makes me, for me, feel good, not for anybody else's benefit or because I'm pretending. So it's a process that I'm going through right now.
And again, that harks back to what we're saying about you start to not care as much about what other people around you are thinking. You're doing what's right for you. And if that means that you start wearing color, or I don't know, start wearing a uniform I don't mean an actual uniform. I mean, like maybe you start to just wear the same thing all the time. There's so many things that you suddenly get to and go, actually, I need to simplify. Or, I always wanted to be the person that turned up in the polka dot silver skirt. I'm going to do it because I don't care anymore.
Exactly.
And what people think.
Trying to move away from jeans. I have so many pairs of jeans and so
I
many
love
different
jeans.
types.
I'm wearing jeans right now.
Exactly. But to think there are other items of clothing available. So it's quite nice to try those as well.
Trying something different. And again, not wearing what you think everyone else is telling you should be wearing at this age. It's interesting, actually, just as a side note, the look between the 40-year-old and the 60-year-old, it's all becoming quite similar. My mum will go, oh, that's nice, and then she'll get one too. I think there was a time, my granny would have never bought the same outfit as my mum when they were 40 and 80 or whatever the age difference was. So it's interesting, that really is starting to change. And we're seeing now, I've got this theory that with like the Gen Zers, that you see these posts about how Gen Z, what they have to have the middle parting, not the side parting. They have to do the over the shoulder bag, not the crossbody bag. That all of these things, and I think it's because our fashion is now becoming so similar for different age groups that they are having to find anything they can to look different, because mum's also wearing barrel leg jeans, and so are they. So they've got to do something
that makes it high. But what I actually love about the fact that my children they're all girls, that the fact that they're older now, is that we actually have communal wardrobes. They'll wear my shoes, I'll wear one of their necklaces. And my youngest has told me, she's promised she's never going to repeat it, but she has told me that she thinks I'm actually quite a cool mum. So I'm taking that.
Oh, I bet you wish you'd got it on record.
I do. Well, it kind of have. I'm like saying she said it, but obviously Not
Yeah.
how I'm saying it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it will work. We'll run
Yeah.
with that. We'll go with that.
Whenever they do a compliment like that, I almost go very still. Don't
Yes.
react. Don't react. Just take in the moment.
Take it, exactly.
Run. Just move on. Know it happened. Now we'll do a little round of this or that.
Okay.
So, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
Beach holiday or mountain retreat?
Oh, that's a new one. You've said beach holiday or city
I have
break
said beach
before.
holiday before. I threw in a
Um,
different place. Cabin in the woods, mountain retreat can be that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think maybe there's sort of the mountain retreat if it's just me. If it's with partner, I think beach holiday. Well, beach for him as long as I can sit by a pool because sand just gets everywhere.
Are you a summer or a winter?
Winter.
You like? Is it the coziness?
Yeah.
Do you like to cook at home or eat out?
I like to eat out partly because somebody else has made the food and what is with this having to think about what to make and cook every single
day.
night. Yeah.
It's exhausting, isn't it? I saw this really funny post about basically it's just a cycle of mince or chicken. What are you going to do with the chicken today? What are you doing with the mince today? I thought, oh no, I've really got to start to shape.
Basically. So yeah, eat out because I'm not having to cook.
Hot bath or cold plunge?
Hot bath.
Silence or your favorite playlist?
Am I allowed to say audiobook? I know that wasn't
Of
an option,
course.
but yeah, audiobook.
Are you someone who will ask for help or figure it out yourself?
If it's technology, I will ask for help. The rest of the time, I like to try and figure it out myself.
Meditation or journaling?
Meditation.
A long walk or a gym workout?
Am I allowed to do both? I do both.
Well, okay, you've got to choose one today.
Oh, okay.
To do today. We'll do it that way.
A long walk.
A Netflix night in or dinner with friends?
I thought this would be easier to answer. Can I have a night in with friends whilst watching Netflix?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You
All
can.
right,
And
let's go
what
for that
what would you be watching?
Off campus.
I've only done one episode so far. It's quite naughty, isn't it? I thought it was a teen drama. There's full blown shagging in the first episode.
You wait.
Does it get bad? Oh my
yes.
God. Not one to watch with my daughter then.
Definitely
With my eldest daughter. Okay, and we'll finish off with, are you a planner or do you go with the flow?
I like to think I'm a planner, but in reality, I go with the flow. I think I'm quite happy to follow some, like if we're going on holiday, my husband is really into kind of making itineraries. So I'm quite happy to go with that. Maybe I'm
go with
more
it if someone else has planned it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like making plans because I get all kind of,
Yeah.
but I think I do secretly like there to be a little bit of scheduling, just as long as I haven't been the one to do it.
I find the admin of planning quite stressful.
Yeah.
I just get that kind of block where I'll start to plan and then I can't do anything after that.
It's the overwhelm. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it is like an overwhelm, isn't
Yeah.
it? So finally, Dani, what if you had a recommendation to leave our listener? What would it be? It could be anything that you're loving right now, something that you'd go, oh, you know what? You need to do this or watch this.
Well, I mean, I've already referred to it, but I think every midlife woman needs to watch Off Campus. I'm going to come across as such a perv. And believe me, I have been through the whole, like when you kind of the characters, the boys in it, as opposed to university age. So then there's that whole guilt thing, like that's disgusting. I should be ashamed of myself. Then you Google the actor's actual age and find out that
it's okay.
Like 20s. It's still not because I'm still technically old enough to be his mother.
Do you know? I think it harks back again to what we were talking about earlier. You know, when I said about there's almost like a grieving process at this age, and we still remember it so well, being 18 and 20 and those first loves. It feels so close that you could touch it, but
and I
it's
think
25 years ago.
Wonderful about the program, and as you continue to watch it, it's on Amazon Prime, by the way, not Netflix, but as you continue to watch it, you'll see more of it. What I love about it is that it's written by a woman, and the relationships in it, whether it's the male friendships, the female friendships, the sort of boyfriend girlfriend relationships, they're so exactly what you would want relationships to be. And it's very...
Do you feel like it's really promoting healthy relationships to
I think
teenagers?
it is. I mean, there's some sort of darker topics in it as well, but I think it's just so much crap in the world, and there's so much hideousness, that it's something that is so easy to get yourself lost in. And also just they say what you would have wanted a boy to have said at that age.
Right.
The two female best friends in it are literally each other's ride or die.
Yeah.
And it's quite wholesome. You kind of want your children to watch it if it was without sex.
Yeah, I think because oh God, this is a whole other episode, I think, but I feel like we grew up with, it was always, the girls could never stay ride or dies.
Yes.
There always had to be a fallout, and it was usually over a boy.
Yeah.
So it was Kelly and Brenda in 90210.
Yes.
They could never just be best friends. It had to be girl against girl.
Yes.
And I think if you look at so many of the shows that we grew up on, that's what we were being pushed, and it's what we then saw in the media. It was women pitted against women.
Yeah,
always.
and it's not like that. And equally the boys, they're ice hockey players, so they're supposed to be like, American dudes.
Jocks. Yeah.
But they're really nice, and they've also got a real kind of like family environment between I mean, I've got WhatsApp groups with friends about this program. It's seriously upsetting.
It's so funny. I'm seeing so much content about this, about women, the 40, 50
women my age.
plus women. I know.
I'm completely obsessed with it.
Brilliant.
It's hysterical.
Well, there we
go.
As
well,
that is your recommendation, and I'm here for it. So I've done one episode. I will go ahead and watch the rest.
You have to. When you finish the rest, you have to let me know what you think.
I will. Dani, it's been such a good chat. I feel like we've only just scratched that's of the top of is it the top of the iceberg? The tip of the iceberg? Can you scratch the tip of the iceberg?
Scratch the surface, yeah.
Scratch the surface.
Any would apply.
Menopause brain. Scratch the tip of the iceberg. Blooming heck.
Dani,
I know we could do 10 episodes on this. So thank you so much. And if anyone wants to find out more about you, they can head to your website. Is that the best place?
Yeah, or Instagram, Dani Diosi Coaching.
I'm going to put all the links and clicks and all of that below the show notes on this. Dani, it's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do rate, subscribe, give it a 5-star. If you felt like it was 5-star worthy, I would very much appreciate it, because it helps this podcast get found. And we want lots of other women to be able to find these conversations because they're so important. Dani, thanks again.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.